pre-council meeting of the City of Homewood of January 26, 2026. Councilor Simmons.
Here.
Councilor Sims. Out. Councilor Lane.
Here.
Councilor Armstead.
Here.
And Mayor Andrews.
Here.
You got a quorum.
All right, so we've got 4 tonight. Thanks for everybody for getting out in the cold and being here. Okay, we'll go through our pre-council agenda for tonight. No old business to discuss. New business 070126, request for consideration of the mayor sign letters of support for the ambulatory surgery centers. Y'all may remember from our breakfast with our friends at Brookwood Baptist, the ambulatory surgery center for the Belk. They are going to be applying for a certificate of need. I think it's 8 ORs. I think it's 4 for Princeton and 4 for Brookwood. So there's 2 letters that need to be signed. So there's 2 resolutions on the agenda for council. I'll tell you that Graham Smith and Mountain Brook is also signing the same letters. So any questions on that?
This is strictly for the.
For them to go through the certificate of need application process. This is letters of support that we support having those there. All right, if no further questions, we will hold that item until we get to council at 6. Okay, 080126, request for consideration of the Attorney General opinion regarding the residency requirement, brought to us from Councilor Lane.
Yes. This is something I was thinking about. I got with the Keith, and I felt with the city manager requirement for Homewood, I don't know if we looked at it. I think it's restricted us as far as getting people in the closer municipalities to try to become the city manager or put in their applicant. I don't know if that's true or not, but for us to require the city manager to live in Homewood, I mean, if anybody's tried to buy a house in Homewood, it could be 90 days, it could be a year. I mean,
To be clear, it's not us that's requiring it, it's the
exactly.
statute
This
that's
is
required.
a state.
It's not a Homewood, it's not a
Homewood,
Jeffrey Andrews,
this is
or
a
it's
state.
council.
I think there's only
This
2
is-
states in the country under our form of government who requires that, okay? I know North Carolina and a few of the other surrounding areas do not. It'd be shameful for us to have somebody who lives, say, in Mountain Brook, who would love to have this job, or Vestavia, or Pelham, or wherever, who've already established, got a residence, been there, they got property, and we're gonna have to tell them they have to move to Homewood to take the job. I just think I think it's very restrictive. I think it keeps us from getting the best qualified potential qualification here. And I was just, I would like to take that to see, whether we can do something with it now, I don't know. But it's something we gotta look at going forward, because I don't think it's right to tell somebody to leave another town who's just 2 miles away to live here. And that is the only position in the city that's required, other than us who are elected officials, that are required to stay to live in the city. And then if it does happen, what happens 6 months down the road and all of a sudden it's not working out? They've purchased a house, they've had to do this, and it becomes it's penalizing for them also. Now, if Homewood wants to buy a house and call it a president mansion or something, to have a city manager mansion, hey, and we can farm them in, farm them out. I mean,
I don't think that's gonna happen.
exactly.
Can't speak
We
for
don't
anyone
wanna go
else,
there.
but I don't think that's gonna happen.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, I don't know, Keith, what are the things we have to do to get this moving forward? I'm just hoping we'll take a look at it, and if y'all see it, that we don't need to, but I personally think we're restricting to getting the best qualified person for Homewood, and I don't think we should do that. I know some people, whether they wanted to come here, I don't know, but if that restriction, which is on the requirement, living in Homewood. Now, I don't know what the penalty is, or what are the duration, or how much time we have to have between when this person becomes city manager, whoever that may be. Is it 90 days? Is it 6 months? Is it 5 years? Is it during his tenure? We don't even know
Or her
what the
tenure.
law states.
Or her tenure. Is that what you're trying to ascertain from the Attorney General, is what exactly is the
Exactly.
requirement? Is it something that you have to move within X amount of time, or is it?
All the above, and then if there's a way that we can have it where they don't, not necessarily live in Homewood. Why does the law have to, why is that? I don't know why, but if there's something we can do to make a change, and I don't know how the way.
Whether the
The
city can
legislature.
waive the requirement is on the resolution. There, my legal analysis of that was in a memo I circulated, but that's part of the AG request, is whether the city can waive the state statute requirement.
I would probably guess the timing is not gonna work. And
It
there's
will not
something-
help this.
No,
He's on the
but-
campaign trail right
Uh,
now, so.
I agree. The timing is not gonna work right now, but we've gotta start somewhere.
Sure.
And if we don't start now, then we'll
Yeah.
kick the can down the road,
Sure.
and we'll talk about it maybe in the next group, whoever. But I'd like to at least get this started, and once again, we still don't know what the timeline is for the city manager to move in. And we're not gonna
Well, I
discuss
think
it.
we got legal analysis on
We
that
do
as
have
well,
legal?
I thought.
We do, we-
I gave you a best
That was, it
judgment,
was sent, yeah,
Was
we-
it
that was
not?
sent.
but we don't, it's not in the statute. And this is not privileged, just, I think everyone understands, but the public probably wants to understand. What an AG opinion requires is a resolution passed by the council to get it. There's no expedited path, so we won't have it for this search. And once we do get it, it's an opinion that's given deference by the courts, but it's not a Supreme Court opinion. It doesn't have that level of precedent, but it is very persuasive for a city because courts will give it deference.
Can you give a pro and a con version of this?
I did that in the memo I circulated, and I would.
Okay, is that strictly for us?
It doesn't have to be.
I mean, since we are here,
The con that I'm comfortable sharing publicly is once you know, you know. Once the AG issues an opinion, it is public, and any flexibility we may have right now could be taken away. For example, I've given an analysis of how long we may have for a reasonable time to become a resident of the city of Homewood. The AG may have a tighter, more restrictive opinion. And once that's published for the next search, we have to follow that instead of mine.
Because if the Attorney General is to act, obviously, where we've been, the League and Municipality group, okay, that we've gone to class and everything, they obviously didn't know, okay? As a matter of fact, the form of government we are in now has not been actually discussed, and that's why it's going forward, I would like to have Keith and we discuss this form of government, okay? And what the priorities are and how they're supposed to be ran. And right now, if we go to the lieutenant governor, can they not tell us what the penalties are for not doing it?
It's an AG opinion.
I mean, AG, excuse me.
But the penalties would be that your appointment would be undone if it was done in violation of the law.
The question is, okay. In violation of the law, but the law hasn't broken until they don't do it, right? And there's no time, and the tenure could be 30 years. Sam, where is Sam? He could be out there at Mountain Brook for, living over here for 30 years, and he decides, now I wanna move in.
I'm not a lawyer, I am married to one.
There
I
you
think
go.
that's-
What did he say?
I would not know, discuss it with him, but I will tell you, I've lived with him long enough to know that I would not be comfortable putting the city at risk in that capacity, to bring someone on and the hope that some year, maybe 30 years down the road, they may move to
Well,
Homewood.
the question is, if you can't, the point of that, what I'm getting back to how it is, I know there's a certain doctor who lives right down the street from me. His daughter and son-in-law's been living with him 8 months, waiting for a house in Homewood. Every time they put a price out there, they get outbid. So
mean,
I
Well, it's
think
primary
that's covered in my
residence.
memo. I think.
What were you gonna say?
I mean, technically, it would be a primary residence for them right now.
Oh, for the, yeah,
For your
for them,
friend.
but I'm talking about for somebody like looking to come in from out of state or down the street or wherever. It's tough. Homewood is different than most any other place in the state of Alabama. We're unaffordable when I say that because because what Homewood has accomplished, school systems. I mean, per square foot, I think, developers, we got the most per square foot in the state of Alabama. More so than Mountain Brook, okay? And you know what? Take it as a compliment. That's how good the direction our city has done for us and where we are. So, not everybody can move to Homewood.
Yeah.
And to put that on somebody coming in at a salary, potentially, you're gonna have to pay $800,000, $900,000 for the house, and say the salary's $200,000, and maybe that person coming in has a spouse who's getting ready to lose her job, and she
Or
can't
his
find
job.
a job here.
or his job.
You know?
It could be a woman, it could be female, it could be.
Hey, no,
something
I
other.
agree, or vice
Or her
versa.
job.
I think, maybe it's somebody from Pelham or whomever, I'm not gonna say any name. But anyway, I'm just using that as something we need to look at, and I just wanna go forward with that.
I don't necessarily disagree, but I think from a timing standpoint, I mean, and also, if I'm applying for a job and I know that one of the requirements I do not have, or I couldn't accomplish
Mhm.
in that situation, I don't know, I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like we don't have enough time, to address
Oh,
that. I mean, cause I to be honest with you, in my current employer, I've dealt with folks in Montgomery and
I'm not
not to
dis-
disclose, you know, what I have to deal with, but I know this, if we have to send something down there, it takes at least 6 to 7 months for a response.
That's great, but we do have it in motion. We're going forward with we got a problem with this law. I have a problem with this law, okay? And it's it's not gonna happen, but let's just say Jeff Downs in Vestavia said, I'd love to have this Homewood job. We are gonna make a contract, but I got a beautiful home right there in Liberty Park. And we're gonna tell this man he can't have this job? The best, probably most qualified guy in the state of Alabama, that he can't take the Homewood job because he has to sell his Liberty property and try to find a house in Homewood, trying to find one. And we're gonna hold back?
So is this all is this to have the answer, or are we needing to agree that the requirement itself is beneficial or not beneficial for the city of Homewood? Because there's a lot of discussion that could be had for the benefits of having a person live in Homewood. I think there's always options, there's rental options, there's options that you wanna rent until you find something that you wanna buy, like there's a good faith effort in doing it, like there's a lot of conversation we could have. The assumption that maybe the best candidate wouldn't live in Homewood or that we would benefit from it, you know, there's benefits to having someone who might have kids in our schools, who live and patronize the same
They get to
same
do that
businesses.
anyway, if it doesn't appear. Out of state, are you sure?
Absolutely not.
Okay, then I'm
No,
wrong then.
So
absolutely
there are,
not. Only they
there
work
are,
for the school system, not
Okay.
the city.
I think the
Okay.
benefit, we've heard a lot of people right in a community talk about the advantages of having someone that understands the complexities of Homewood, that share in the same pros and cons that we do, be a city manager. I guess the question I'm having is this something that we need to be agreeing on before we pursue it from the perspective of that there would be a benefit or even a possibility that someone would ever get hired here to be city manager that doesn't live in Homewood? I don't particularly agree that I would wanna see someone that doesn't live in the city of Homewood manage the city of Homewood and all that is within it.
Okay, let me ask you a question then. Sam Gaston wanted this job. 31 years experience at Mountain Brook. Never lived a day in Mountain Brook.
You mean
You gonna
Homewood?
huh?
In Homewood?
He doesn't live in Mountain Brook. lives in Indian Springs. I maybe shouldn't tell people where they live, but
Too late.
what I'm trying to get at here,
His address
one of the
is-
second most qualified guy in the state of Alabama, and that's what I tell Sam that to that's who I feel. And we're gonna tell him after 31, after 31 years, because he lives 10 miles out from Homewood, that he doesn't know what's going on in Homewood?
Well, what I'm getting at is that we have heard a lot of constituents have concern about us being responsible to making sure that Homewood is a priority, and we have this requirement already. Well, we're discussing.
We don't have this
We
requirement,
don't-
the state
The
statute
state-
has
the
a
state statute,
requirement,
yeah.
it's not a
That's what-
Homewood
that's the
requirement.
point.
Removing a state requirement or finding a way to remove a state requirement that would actually benefit what Homewood residents are asking for is another aspect of this, right? Is that like, we're not actually faced right now with this, I guess,
Well-
this situation that I guess we might have
This
some
decision is not
options.
impacting.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, right now,
Hypothetical.
we don't have one person within the local community, municipalities, that have a resume in for this job.
We do.
We do have one
We do
now?
have one candidate who works for another municipality who lives in Homewood that has applied for the job that will be interviewed
Oh, I know,
this week.
okay.
We
One.
do.
But not as, okay. But I'm saying, are we restricting,
We are not restricted.
no, the state is restricting us is what exactly. Thank you.
And-
You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
And all I'm trying to do, whether we're under time schedule, I got it. But we gotta move forward with this. I'd like to move forward as far as getting something done. That's all I'm saying, because I didn't like it. So, one thing when this all was going on, nobody really paid attention to what the government or the states said when we voted.
Well, I will say, to Winslow's point, we got a lot of people that said, you know,
No.
that
what
they
I'm-
did want people who
Absolutely.
are in the Homewood community. So that was important to our
Well,
constituents. It
okay.
was.
Well, we don't have we don't have police, fire, fire maybe. This is the only job in the city out of everybody that has to live in Homewood. If you had an assistant city manager, would he have to live in Homewood?
Or she.
Or she? I'm gonna start calling she on everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, because it could
No,
be
but
a
you
woman.
see what I'm saying?
I do.
Assistant city manager.
I do. I'm just gonna share for whatever it's worth, and I'm just, you know, when you take it wherever you want, it could be worth nothing. I had a conversation with Ron Anders last week, who's the mayor of Auburn, and they have a council manager form of government. I asked him this question. I asked him if, and I presented it, I mean, I don't have an opinion. I really don't have an opinion either way at all. I really have, I really do not have an opinion on this. I don't think we're gonna get something in a timely manner. I know he's on the campaign trail. I know it's, you know, they are all trying to get their business done and get back out to get reelected, or for him to get elected to the Senate. But, Ron Anders, the way I presented it to him was, if this is something that we in Homewood would try to get support from David Faulkner or whomever to change with legislation in the 2027 session, you know, what are your thoughts on that? And he was absolutely not supportive. He definitely was not. So we would be on our own.
Did he say why?
Yes, he 100% thinks that the city manager needs to live in the city. He wasn't like, it took me a minute to sort of, like he gave me all the benefits of why a city manager should live in the city where they are serving.
Auburn, I can
So,
understand.
and he said, and I said, look, it's expensive to live in Homewood, and he said it's 20% less expensive to live in Opelika, and he was kind of saying things out loud, kind of working his way through the situation, but he definitely came back to, you know, he felt strongly that the city manager should live in the city where they're serving. Just for whatever that's worth, may not be worth anything, I just want to share that conversation I had with Ron Anders, and I presented it, because like I said, I really don't have an opinion. So I really was like, if this is something that we, you know, go to our legislators next year to try to get on, you know, get on a bill in the legislature, you know, what are your thoughts on that? And it's just saying, obviously they could live in the city, right? So I'm not saying, right, so
Well, as we say,
taking that requirement away.
there's 460 some odd municipalities in the state. Well, there's only 14 municipalities under this form of government. And so happen, we're more unaffordable to live than Vestavia. I mean, it's, you can go buy a house in Vestavia, pick your poison, you can go, I mean, whatever. You cannot do it in Homewood. And I'm just saying, in general, it's easy for the guy in Auburn to say, well, we're gonna live in Auburn. It's a bigger city, it's got it, you know, it's a city, okay? Where we,
Or 8 square miles.
it's different. So anyway, I don't wanna take up any more of the time, but I just want this to be,
I'm sorry.
go ahead, no, go ahead.
Councilor Armstead had asked about the scope of the resolution that I drafted at
Mhm.
Councilor Lane's request. It is no action on the city's part except asking for the answer to 5 questions as far as what the AG's opinion is. The policy decision of what to do with those answers is for another day. And I do want, because of the timing of this, and we could have talked the meeting after you guys were sworn in. I just want to make sure the public understands this for the 5. It would not have made any difference. The timing of these AG's opinions is generally so long, could have been November 23rd or tomorrow. You're not going to have an answer in time for this selection.
Y'all, I apologize. I have the wrong copy of the pre-council agenda, so I am gonna bring up Cobb's Allen. I'm very sorry. We'll move this
Oh,
out
good.
and
No.
in more further discussion in council, but, Margaret Ann, I'm so sorry. I
That's right.
had the wrong copy of my agenda and just forgot you were right over my shoulder. Sorry, I'm very sorry.
No worries.
So
It's
come
only
on.
Margaret Ann.
Yeah,
That's
come
right.
on. Thank
That's
you. Oh, I
fascinating
actually have
listening.
this already, so I'm
Who
gonna.
needs one of these? You have one.
I have one.
You have one.
I forgot to bring mine, but I have it.
Anybody else? This is your renewal proposal from Cobb's Allen, Margaret Ann Pyburn,
David Dove.
David Dove, Liam McCurry. We're your team that works on this, along with about, 10 or 12 other people at our agency from a claims perspective. Brandon and I were just talking about our monthly claim calls and how helpful that is. So, if y'all wanna open it, on page 2 is part of your team, and page 3 is your premium spend comparison compared from last year to this year. We are delivering good news this year. Your premium is down. So that's very good news. There are certain lines of business that are up a little bit, and I'm happy to go through the whole entire thing if y'all would like for me to. Everybody, yes, no, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna flip over. If you wanna look at the, this is everybody's usually favorite page, page 3, because it shows you the premium spend comparison last year versus this year. So last year, it was about $2.4 million. This year, it's 2.2, which is a little bit of a decrease. If you want to flip to the next page, page 4, this is, highlights the property coverage. And it goes, if y'all want to look under limits, where it says blanket building and business personal property limit, that shows you that the exposure went up a little bit from 144 million basically to 149 million, which is keeping up with the cost of inflation. Because obviously it costs more this year to build anything, as you know, than it did last year. If any of y'all have had any construction projects at your house or business, you know it costs more than it did last year. And then the premium went up a little bit, just consistent with the amount of the total exposed value that went up, that we raised. Any questions on that? We didn't include in here like the whole list of all the property and all the guts and the details and all that kind of stuff that we already went over with Kale. Anybody have any questions on that one, property? Inland Marine, that's the next, on page 5. This one went down a little bit, so the exposures stayed about the same, so that's good. We always like when insurance goes down a little bit. And then on page 6, this one goes up. So this is your general liability coverage, which covers the city for general liability, which is $1 million per occurrence with a $3 million general aggregate. So you could have up to $3 million in claims per year before it goes into the umbrella product, which we'll talk about in a minute. This one did go up about $5,000. This is one of the lines of coverage that does go up a little bit every year, all the liability coverages. So general liability, the law enforcement liability, public officials liability, those all went up in the umbrella. Everything else stayed about flat. I can go over claims if y'all have any questions on that, but do y'all have any questions on general liability coverage? Anybody?
Yes, Maureen. Somewhere along the line, last year, this year, premium, didn't we have to pay, or Cale, did we have to pay a little more from, on a premium because we were under cost on it, and something had gone up and we had to increase it on our budget? Am I wrong?
It could have been your
The audit.
Yeah, it could be audit. Could be your workers' compensation would probably be your one line that could be particular from a, your payroll goes up, so therefore the insurance company will then charge that premium that's associated with that. So it's
Okay,
probably that.
okay, that.
And that will still continue to happen. You just completed your audit back in December, and what we actually did in talking with Cale on your workers' comp this year is we used the exposure that was just audited to forecast our exposure for this year going forward. So then hopefully we won't have that issue in,
So that's a
in the
pretty
future.
big increase last year.
Yes, sir. Yes,
But,
sir.
and we think those numbers are a little bit high, so that'll get
Yeah.
corrected at the year end.
Well,
Yeah.
like we said, was coming down, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but your workers' comp, which not to jump ahead of that, last year it was expiring at about $1.2 million. You had a massive rate decrease, about 27%, which is, directly tied with your experience and the work you guys have been doing on that line. It's down to $900,000 this year, so that's where the vast majority of your rate decrease is coming from, which is driving the total insurance premium down roughly 10% year over year. Just
So Travelers did deliver, as David
Yep.
said, a rate decrease on the work comp, which again, I think points to when we got this, took over as the agency
Yep.
agent back in 2021, 2020, the claims on the work comp were not great. Just a lot of claims, a lot of severity, just some frequent flyers that were on there that were not great. So we started having monthly meetings with y'all and your staff, each team manager, so fire, everybody, police.
Keep that thought, what you were just talking about, I might come
And,
back to it.
the claims have come down, so we've followed them. Travelers has been great, they allow us to get into their system and follow their claims, and, they work really well with us on that. So, I think that's been a driver on that. On page 7, following the general liability, this is the law enforcement liability coverage. And that premium did jump up a bit, it went up about $20,000, $18,000. This is just kind of what you see in our world with law enforcement liability in the municipalities that we represent. It's just a place where these claims, when they do occur, are a lot more complex, and it's a more complicated coverage. And the ones that do occur and that pay out are very high. I mean, there's just, they're not small claims, they're big claims.
Coverage is staying the same, though.
Yes, all the coverages
Okay,
are staying
all
the
right.
same. Nothing has changed with coverage limits or anything like that. And then the next page, on page 8, is your public entity management liability coverage, which, again, that one went up a little bit. I mean, it went up about, $10,000, $12,000. Kind of the same thing along the lines of the law enforcement liability. Those are very complex claims when they occur, and the severity is great as well. So, but again, none of the coverages have changed there either. One thing I do want to point out to y'all at the top of the page is Travelers is an A++ rated company, which is really important. You want someone who can pay claims. Speaking of claims, instead of having someone who may not be there to pay the claims. Auto, again, went up a little bit. That's on page 9. This is just, again, I don't know how many of y'all see people on the way to work or home. They don't know how to drive. And so auto claims are up across the country, and auto claims are up.
But I do think it is worth noting, your rate increase is about 4%. The industry average right now is closer to like 12. So you're 3 times less than what the industry average is at this given point. So just another reflection of the work that you guys have been putting in with conjunction with us. So
Just for questioning, with the take-home cars that we take home and the cars that could potentially stay, what's the difference in the cost for us? No?
There's no difference.
None.
Now there was a
Liability
time
difference.
when insurance carriers were kind of against that, just because that introduced the aspect of personal use, family use, things
Right.
like that. But the world's changing. We believe that there's a comfort level. You guys have policies in place that prevent personal use. We haven't seen, we being the insurance industry, have not seen an uptick of personal usage, so people are following those rules. And quite frankly, where we live, weather is a big impactor. So if you've got a lot full of vehicles out here and a hailstorm comes and hits, it's going to hit every one of them, which is a really bad day, as opposed to if those vehicles were spread out at people's house, it'd be a lot less of a claim activity. So the pros actually outweigh the cons.
Correct.
So it's not making much of a difference. So anyway.
Good answer.
On page 10 is your workers' compensation coverage, which we talked a little bit about that. It went down, which is always good news, and we will get that down a little bit more based on some additional numbers. Your umbrella is on page 11. Homewood has a $3 million umbrella. This did go up, and I always hate to say it's not that bad because it's only $6,000, but I will say a $3 million umbrella for $38,000 is like really inexpensive based on what we see every day for that same amount of limit and the exposures that you all have, especially with the heavy auto fleet that you have. Fire trucks driving everywhere, police cars. So I think that's a very inexpensive umbrella.
Yep.
So be glad. Good news on page 12, your crime coverage stayed flat. So that is really good news. And then the cyber coverage also that covers the city for any kind of cyber breach, that also stayed flat and did not increase. So that's a $2 million coverage for cyber. And I think that's it.
That's it. Yep.
Yep.
Just a disclaimer then.
Who has
With the
questions?
cyber, is that kind of a normal coverage? 2 million, is that enough? Bo, or Kale? You know, what I'm saying, if we got shut down. Okay, I guess maybe different in businesses than it is in
Yeah,
cities.
and it's actually the bigger scare would be more or less that, cities, municipalities are a high target right now for cyber criminals
Right.
because of all that tax records, all those things that you have on hand. So it's really as much of a liability coverage as it is, a personal coverage. It's hard to say whether 2 million is enough. It's certainly better than a lot of folks have. A lot of folks only carry one, so it does help. It's something we could look into getting you an excess policy that sits on top of that at an
Like an
additional
umbrella
cost.
policy on top of
Correct.
that?
Yeah, you just get an excess limit.
Because
Yes, sir.
have y'all had any in the surrounding municipalities, any of these
Well-
happen? Do y'all know of any?
Birmingham. got
Yeah,
Birmingham
Jefferson
very-
County has like a $20 million
How much
policy.
did they get popped for? Do we know?
Birmingham shut down. I mean, they had to carry their budget over 3 months because they
Right,
got
I
shut
mean,
down.
what was the ransom? I was just
Oh, I
curious.
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I would want
But we
Brandon
can find out.
Sims to be part of this conversation too, though, because he's done so
Yeah,
much
Brand-
work. He's done a
exactly.
ton of work. He's not,
Okay.
but yeah.
That's a good, yeah, that'd be a
Yeah,
great.
y'all are in
person.
much better shape
Yes,
because
gosh,
of him
yes.
than you
Oh, heck yes.
were.
Yeah,
I
those
mean,
these
it's
limits
so
wouldn't be
much.
obtainable without, even the 2 million would not be obtainable without the work that he's done
He's
to
done so
help
much.
to bring you
That's
guys.
But I will say cyber as a whole has gone down. I mean, it's, in the last probably 2 or 3 years.
It has, but being that public entities are
that you said
the
it.
industry that's a target. Public entities, healthcare, those are the two that criminals, that cyber criminals are really targeting.
But if y'all talk about it and you want us to get another layer of $1 million or $2 million, we can certainly go look at that and tell you what that would cost.
So it'd be like almost like a stop loss coverage in a sense.
It would be,
Kinda.
it'd be like an umbrella coverage, so
Like
right now, if you had a $4 million, if you end up having a $4 million ransomware, somebody comes in here and they take your system over and they say you have 4, right now the insurance carrier that you guys have would pay up to 2
$2
million.
million.
We could go look for higher limits to get you 4. Honestly, a lot of times, these criminals are just gonna try to figure out what your limit is, and that's what they're gonna ask for. So you get 4 and you almost open your door up to have a little bit higher limit. The exception to that being on that liability piece of it, if the data gets stolen and the citizens start suing you for giving their data away, that's where you would want to have a higher limit.
additional,
So,
yeah,
yes,
I
sir.
got you.
Thanks, you guys, we
Thank
appreciate
you.
y'all very much, thank you so much. So we have no motion here and we're not carrying it over there, so just, accepting.
Here's an
the-
extra
so-
copy if you want.
I have got mine at home, and I'm so sorry, I meant to bring it, but, I meant to bring it, and I was like, I need to give you.
Thank y'all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. I've got mine, do you need this? I have mine.
I got mine.
Okay, I have mine. All right. Thanks, you guys, sorry about that. Okay, back on schedule, 090126, request for consideration of fiscal year 26 Rebuild Alabama Act Annual Grant Program application from Amy Zari.
Yeah, so we are applying for Aldot's RAA grant, which is, we can request up to $250,000 with no local match, but favorable recommendation goes towards, applications that do provide the match, so we are requesting a $10,000 match with the city.
What is the project for?
We are paving Salter Road from Broadway to Windsor.
Okay.
So that was on Public Works annual list of repaving, and they identified it as being under the $250,000 amount.
And so you need $10,000, you need the council to approve $10,000 to match.
Yes.
Is that right?
Mhm.
I think
Okay.
we just need a resolution
You just need a resolution.
And we have that,
For-
yep. we have that.
What,
favorable
Yeah.
recommendation.
And the $10,000 is identified in the resolution about where the money's gonna be paid from.
Okay.
and that's to Windsor.
That's right.
And what's the cost on that?
So we're requesting $234,797.33, plus the $10,000 that we're gonna be contributing, so around $244,000.
Well, is that what the cost is gonna be to pave it?
Yes.
What would be the additional cost from Windsor to Salter? I mean, Windsor to 31, I'm sorry, on Salter.
We would have to redo that number, but if we do get over the 250,000 amount, we'll have to contribute more money. From
only
the
only
city's
thing I'm
amount.
getting at there, since we're already there,
Why don't we just go
why
ahead
don't
and
we
do the
just
whole?
do the whole road?
Yeah, well, and that's a great question. I think we are gonna apply for the grant and see if we get it. This was one of those that we tried to identify a road that wasn't necessarily the top priority, but we could wait on like a year or so to see if we got the grant.
Mhm.
And then how we could spend the money. So once we find out whether we can get the grant or not, then we can look at the whole stretch.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions there? We'll take up the pace just a little bit, because we got several items to get through before we get to move next door. Okay, thank you, Amy. Next item, 100126, request for consideration for use of the plaza in front of City Hall for Taste of Homewood, Thursday, March 19th, from 5:30 until 8. Shay Gartman, Chamber of Commerce, thank you, Shay.
Thanks, Shay.
And JJ Bischoff, thank you for putting this on the agenda.
Tell us all
So,
about it. We love it.
we request to use the plaza again for Taste of Homewood on the 19th from 5:30 to 8. It is our biggest community event. Last year we had 1,200 people come, and we set aside 40 tickets for the city's use. And then there's music and food from up to 32 local vendors. Local restaurants. We've already got 11 signed up. And there's a cup.
drinking out of a
Kale's
cup.
drinking out of our cup. So, any questions?
Any questions, yes?
Great promotion.
Yeah.
All right.
On theme.
Yeah.
All right, okay, well,
Thanks, Shay.
so, can't speak for anyone else, but I'm in favor. All right,
sure.
thanks, Shay. All right, 110126, request for consideration to add a street light on an existing pole in front of 823 Cobb Street. Mr. Hambley?
All right, we gotta, talk to the resident that lives there at 823. He said the Hawk Inn, has a lot of little things that goes on at night. You got a lot of kids and pedestrians crossing at that mid-block crosswalk. And he said currently, right now, it's just completely dark. So we were looking at putting a street light to shine over that crosswalk.
Counselor Simmons?
I'm all for it, my brother. Trust me. I've heard it from multiple citizens over in that area.
It would be at a cost of, let's see, that one is $127.32 a year.
And that's a Cobra, is that right? It's
Yes.
a Cobra, of course, yeah.
We go on that existing pole right there.
Yeah. That'd be huge for Fall Fest and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's right there, yeah.
Any other questions?
I haven't.
Go ahead.
Is this the resolution with the budget amendment? So Randy has two
Mhm, the next one
streetlight
too, yeah.
requests. One of them includes a budget amendment.
It's 11/01/26.
Okay, so a part of this resolution will include a budget amendment to move $491,000 from carryover fund balance into electricity streetlights and $70,000 from carryover fund balance into electricity traffic lights. And the reason for that is because every year we spend that amount of money on traffic lights and street lights. And again, this is a budgeting thing. You're in the budget process when we changed the way that we did it last summer. There was talk around moving money out of the 7 cents gas tax fund, which is where it has always been paid from, into another account, or into another fund, I think into the general fund. That never happened, but the columns for those two accounts in the 7 cents gas tax got zeroed out. And so what we should do, what we have to do, is to move from carryover fund balance the amounts that are included in the resolution. The balance of the carryover fund balance is about $2.6 million at this point, and since it's from the 7 cents gas tax fund, it should be money that comes in annually and goes out annually. I was telling somebody earlier today that the reason why we do have such a significant carryover fund balance in this fund is because over the past couple of years, we have used money that could have been used in 7 cents out of the capital fund for things like resurfacing and some of Randy's employees, they've been paid out of the general fund. So this year, we're gonna consolidate all those into this fund and the 7 cents gas tax. And then try to draw down on some of that 2.6 carryover.
Doesn't the repayment come out of the gas tax?
So there are three gas taxes. There is 7 cents, 4 cents, and then the rebuild, which is 10 cents. And we pay for resurfacing out of all of them. We estimate about $650,000 out of the 7 cent gas tax.
And what are we doing going forward for this not to happen again? I mean, as far as that movement, you know what I'm asking, it's gonna go in, it's not gonna be set aside for a rainy day or whatever. Basically is what happened, right? Am I wrong?
I don't understand.
But you said the 4.5 million it wasn't used.
2.6 million.
2.6, I'm sorry.
Is in a carryover fund
Within a
balance.
carryover,
That's right.
which could have been used for the repaving.
Sure, that's right.
Okay.
Yep.
So when we go to make the budget, are we putting that 2.6 million back into that or not?
Yeah, that's certainly something we can talk about at the time. Yep.
Okay. Because where does that 2.6 million get budgeted in? I mean,
It's in the carryover fund balance for the 7 cents gas tax fund.
okay.
But yeah, once we figure out, the reformatting of the budget and what that is gonna look like with you guys and a permanent city manager, that's a great question. We
Yeah,
certainly should look at.
that's what I was just trying to find when we made the budget. 2.6 was budgeted somewhere.
Right, it's included in the gas tax.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, Randy, while you are there, 12/01/26, request for consideration add a streetlight at the crosswalk at Greenway Trail and Old Montgomery Highway. Feeling this came from me.
This is pretty much the same problem. We have issue where the Greenway Trail crosses Old Montgomery. And currently, I was over there one night checking street lights and was amazed the amount of people that use that Greenway Trail after dark.
Oh, yeah.
And they're right here, there's currently no street lights at all, so.
Well, I do wanna thank you for the flashers.
Yeah, no, we
They
did
look
put
great.
up some warning flashers and
Thank
all
you.
of this is an old photo.
Yeah.
It's all been restriped,
Yeah.
but it's still, it's dark and it.
Yeah, for
uh,
sure. And
I'm
people
looking
do
at,
use it.
we could put a street light on that pole right there to the right and it would shine right over crosswalk.
And as many people that use it at night, twice
Yeah.
as many use it in the morning before
Yeah,
the sun comes
yeah.
up. So, yeah. That's great. Any questions on that?
That's great.
Awesome.
Great.
All right, okay.
Good
well,
stuff.
Thank you. We'll move that one out to council then. All right, 130126, request for consideration for the council to appoint board liaisons and ex officio member of the planning commission. From myself, we have had this conversation, and so we're just putting this into a resolution, per our advice of our city attorneys. And so I know Nick had talked to all of you all about some of the smaller boards as well. So any questions about any of that?
I've got a few.
All right.
The question I've got is, how did we come about with the appointments? Because we have never discussed it at any of the council meetings. And according to the new form of government, we're supposed to vote on each one of these appointments. And whether, you know, how somebody got, as far as whether it's the Sanford Board or the Park and Recreation. Now, Planning Commission, I understand, I believe that's your appointment, the mayor's appointment.
No, this is gonna be the council appointment, so ex officio
Oh, is
member
that-
will be Nick, as that's who we're putting forward. We could vote it tonight, that's
Oh, okay.
what we're
Okay.
voting for tonight, but he's not my appointment, he's the council appointment.
Council has one,
That's the last?
has one for planning commission, council does.
The council does, so that's what this
Oh,
would be.
the council
Yeah.
does, okay.
Yes, sir.
So going back, the reason I'm bringing it up is like, for instance, I'll say the Sanford Board, for instance. I get numerous calls from, it's in my ward, it's also when Councilor Armstead's ward also. But I get from the sound, you've understood, I've been listening to this for a year now, about this situation with Elizabeth and her family and other people. And, I mean, I would like to be part of that board. The only reason is because I'm involved with them all the time.
I will tell you the reason why I'm not comfortable putting you in that position is because you are a booster of Sanford. So that was my decision, and I feel it would be inappropriate to have a booster of Sanford to be as the liaison. That came from me. The other appointments some were requests from department heads. So
Now, when you say booster, you're talking about NIL?
I'm talking about money going to Sanford
And
University, whatever it is. I know, and so I think that's inappropriate to have a
So-
liaison. I
so
think
it's
the community, we already get so much grief from our constituents that feel like we have this relationship between the university and the city is complicated, and we already get a lot of grief, and that came from me.
Who did that come from?
That decision came from me on that. I
Yeah,
think
but
it's
let me ask you a
inappropriate.
question. How come we don't have that discussion?
Okay, let's have it now. I think it's inappropriate for a booster to be the liaison of Sanford University. And so that's where that came from.
Really? Now, what about if one who's done business with Sanford before?
In what capacity?
Brother, Counselor Simmons?
What are you asking?
What I'm asking, I'm using this for an example. You're talking about a booster, what I give to them. And by the way,
I mean, I'm not, it's fine, like, I'm just
understand.
saying, I think it's an inappropriate, I think there's a line that, I think we get so much, consternation from our constituents
well,
about our relationship
the
with
reason
the university.
I'm interested in it is because, one, all the properties that they're being rented out over there is in my ward. Okay, not all of them, but some in his ward also. Okay, I go to the meetings with them now. I've met with the president, I've met with all of them, and they were all in favor for me. Now, if you think it's a conflict of interest,
I think the appearance is not great, and I have concerns with that.
okay. You know, the conversation we were having.
Okay.
For instance, he has done business with Sanford through Blue Cross. It can be a customer of his. Okay? I give to the school. I don't receive
benefits.
I don't either.
No, I'm
So
not,
I just wanna make it clear, to bring,
That's in the
to
past.
bring, to bring me into that conversation is not relevant to your point. Make your point, and I'm okay with that, but however, if you're saying that because I've done business, I mean, there's a lot of people in here who've done business with Sanford, may have been employed by Sanford,
No
correct?
question.
So, let's be honest in this situation.
That's what I'm trying to be.
Yeah, so.
I'm trying to be, because
so I just- I
everybody's
wanna
got,
make it-
I'm not blaming anything.
But-
I'm just saying, as
but
me giving to an NIL to a basketball program that I've done with Buckyball, his father was a friend of mine and all that, it had nothing to do with that. For me not to be able to represent my ward, and you think it's that important?
I just think that we have, we get a lot of criticism from the community about that we bend over backwards for Sanford. We let Sanford do whatever they want, that Sanford gets what it, you know, I just
But,
think we get, and
okay,
I'm trying
let me give you a perfect
to
example.
cut that off at the pass.
No, let me say this about that, and, cause when I've talked with Sanford, I personally have talked to them about being a full share partner with Homewood, okay? For instance, they do not pay tax revenue whatsoever. They give nothing to the police department. They give nothing to the fire department. I've personally gone to them and I've asked them, I'm working out the details for them to contribute to our police foundation, our fire department foundation, so they will get something in return. Because right now, they're getting free police protection, free fire protection, and also, they're not even paying any property taxes on all the properties they've got, okay? So I'm trying to work that out for Homewood. I'm trying to work it out where it's a two-way street, but I am trying to work it out. Okay?
I would call into question, I guess, for the record, I don't know how appropriate that conversation would
Without
have
including
been
the rest
in
of the
that
city, I
capacity.
would agree with that.
Why would that be? Why was that not?
I think you would wanna include the council in that.
Uh,
I think that's,
Well, I'm going back to, what you talking about, what I'm just talking about, the fire department and the police department. You think that's not proper?
Yeah, conversations in detail about what the city could offer, or what Sanford could offer to the city in exchange for anything, yeah, it is.
No, the point I'm making is, there's conversation to do it. Now, here, okay, the fact of the matter is, we have not discussed one of those appointments with anybody. I don't know. I was told I was a part of the library board when I first got elected. Now, all of a sudden, I'm not part of the library board. Things have been changed. Who changes it? Where are the discussions? By law, we're supposed to discuss every one of these, and
and
we're
that's why
not
we're
doing
doing it now, and that's why we're doing it now. So,
Okay.
to answer your question.
Yes.
I've served 2 terms before this. I recognize it was the mayor-council form of government. After discussion with our city attorneys, it was encouraged that we go, obviously pass a resolution. Sam Gaston also made the same, so that's why we're here tonight. So if you don't wanna vote in favor of it, you don't have to, that's a no vote. But in the previous 2 terms that I served under the mayor-council form of government, again, recognizing this is the manager-council form of government, so I recognize that I was wrong in doing that, that's why we're doing this now. The council president was the one who made the assignments for the liaisons. So Bruce Limbaugh told me I was the arts council liaison in 2016, and Alex Wyatt told me in 2020 that I was a legislative liaison. And I said, okay, great, and moved on. So, but this is the manager council form of government, so that's why we're moving forward tonight with a resolution. If you wanna vote no, but that's where we are. And I have discussed this with all of the city councilors, with everyone else on the council, so.
I know, that's the point. You've discussed it
You
with
and I have
everybody.
discussed it too.
We have not discussed it.
We have discussed it multiple times.
Where did we discuss this?
We stood right over there and talked about the library, we
Hold on.
sat right
The
over there and
library,
talked
when
about.
you came up to me, I
Yes.
gotta ask you a question. Why did you come to me?
Because,
And
our-
about the library. Why did
Yes.
you take me off the library?
because Judith asked for somebody in Ward 1.
And it's in my ward.
You were also mad at me when I made you the library liaison when we talked about
I
it after you
wasn't-
first
look,
got
I was
elected. You
mad 'cause-
were, you said, I don't know anything about the library.
Because I didn't have a choice. You made all these decisions before I was elected. You already made the appointments before I was even elected.
Well, like I said, I had department heads that asked for liaisons
Well,
specifically,
Judith
so.
told me otherwise, so I don't know where that,
I
the
don't know
Ward
where
One.
it is
By the
either.
way, you do have somebody in Ward One representing them. You got a former counselor that's there,
Well,
right, on the
that's the
board.
library board.
Right.
All the wards have a representative on the library board. So I'm gonna move us along. You're welcome to vote no or not, you know, we'll see if someone makes a motion,
Are
someone
we
makes a second.
voting for, are we
are
going down,
voting for this
are we
tonight.
going down
That is the
everyone?
slate, yes.
Is that what we're gonna
This
do? I
is
mean,
the-
we just-
we're gonna do the small boards too. So do we have the small boards, the smaller boards also?
Well,
I think we have that as well, but I'm ready to put this to bed, like, we've been having these discussions.
I know we're ready to put it to
I'm
bed,
ready to
but
put
I'm
it to
gonna
bed,
just-
so vote no, is all I can say, is vote no. That's what I would tell you to do, is to vote no.
but who's appointing them?
That's the slate that we've had
Who's
this
we?
discussion, this council.
That council? Because it
This
hadn't been
council
this
right here,
council. It
1, 2,
hasn't been
3,
this
4,
council.
you made your point that you think you should be on the same.
I'm
route.
just saying, going
Okay,
forward,
Chris,
and
we need
and
to-
you can
it's
talk to
time
the city attorney
to
about
move
this.
forward.
The form of government, we did it wrong.
That's right, and that's
Okay,
why
s-
we're doing this tonight.
And this
Now,
makes
I'm
it
gonna
right the way
finish
you're
this
doing it.
conversation, and we're gonna move on to the next item, and then we're gonna move over here at 6 o'clock, okay? So, yes, I did it wrong, and so that's why I'm trying to fix that tonight.
This is not the way to fix it. Then we should
Then-
wait
then
until the
vote
next
no,
council
Chris.
and do
Then
it
vote
the
no.
proper way.
So-
And start it at 4 o'clock
Okay.
and go through each one, whoever wants what council. It's not about, you know, you're making decisions for this council you're not supposed to. Okay?
I also had department heads who have made
It
requests.
doesn't matter about the
It does to
department
me
heads.
because
It's
that's who
about
they
the
work with.
council. Now, y'all can vote 4-1. I'm fine with that, but we gotta do it the right way.
That's what we're doing
We're-
tonight, Chris, and so I'm moving on. So 13, that's it, 130126. 01-1225, request for consideration of restricting on-street parking along the eastern side of Linden Avenue from the limits of Reed Street to Oxmoor Road, also brought to us from Amy Zine.
We're supposed to vote on it
Right.
now.
Alright, moving on, Chris.
You don't vote here.
We are requesting to drop this agenda item after conversations with some counselors and city manager. We're gonna try to do some work in-house with the existing restrictions through the traffic department. After pushback from businesses really cherishing the
Okay,
on-street parking.
please, conversation.
So we're trying to preserve as much on-street parking as possible with this new configuration.
Okay. And I know Counselor Sims was involved in some of this and sent this out to everyone. Any questions on this item here?
Do we have to have a motion to cancel?
I think we do, because it's on the agenda, so the motion will be to drop once we get out there, so we won't do it in here. So just for future reference, the conversation now is, do we need a consent agenda? And so that's one thing we need to discuss, because when a consent agenda, when we draw things in committee, it would show up on the consent agenda, but we don't have motions here in pre-council, so that's the conversation that we're having, so, okay.
And for the record, what is shown up here is, it doesn't need a council resolution. This is just something that we're gonna do. We just wanted to provide it for information.
Doing it the original request.
Yeah.
Will we not extending this to the north side of Linden also? I think that's the discussion we were having, with not,
No, this is the discussion that we had weeks ago, and then this is gonna get dropped tonight.
yeah, it's gonna be dropped, right.
And anything to the north of this is a totally different discussion.
But we are still gonna, highlight, yellow it all the way to the end of this curve right here where this driveway is on the west side of Linden.
That's right. So
Right?
there's
Mhm.
existing yellow striping on the curb, and so we're just refreshing anything that's out there that
And how,
might be faded.
but how far, aren't we gonna take it up a little bit further than where it is on the east side of it, or no? We're leaving it like it is?
Leaving it like it is for 30 feet.
Okay, so then we just have to have it enforced, basically?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Yep.
it's simple.
All right, thank you, Amy. All right, no further items, we will adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, sorry.